Good morning, Kate Kennedy. Love it. Thanks for joining us
Hello.
on the show, being our guest host.
Thanks for having me.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm
it's
excited. I love doing this.
the, the Power Female Posse today. So it's going to be a all girls show. So
Heck yeah.
we love that, right? The show
Mhm.
is brought to you by Heyler Realty. What an amazing market, the most frenetic market. And I've been through several cycles since 1996. And I will say that in 26 years, this is definitely the craziest one so far. I
Been a
don't know if
busy
it's just,
year.
yes, yes, for everyone. But it's tough because there's always, like in anything, you never want anybody to lose, but there's always somebody that's not winning, So,
It's a crazy market and there's a ton of buyers out there and it's been a wild ride this year. I think a lot of people kind
mhm,
of reassessed what they need and what they want and took action. I mean, we've seen
yeah,
it at Heyler for sure.
yeah,
Lots of new
yeah.
buyers and lots of great activity.
Yeah, that's true. And unfortunately, it's just kind of not activity in the sense of sellers really coming on. It's really more been about, the buyers are really prepared to want to get into something, but sellers, if you're in a good situation, it's hard to transition out unless there's a need based meaning divorce, death, or job relocation. And frankly, job relocation used to be the big one, but nowadays people can work from anywhere. So that hasn't been the huge cause.
Yeah,
But the one thing we're keeping
I
an eye
think
on, of course, is spring of next year, 2022. There's a
right.
lot of shifting going on the west side of Los Angeles, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And directly near Heyler. I mean, right in our front yard.
yeah, that's true. And all along coast, all the way over to, Westwood, Century City area. It's all about to just
Yeah.
explode.
It's
So,
exciting to watch. And it's interesting because I feel like LA is such a singular market. And then each neighborhood unto itself is having these changes and doing all these things. In my neighborhood in Ocean Park, there's a lot of discussion around making Main Street a walk street, which would totally change the dynamic here, at
no
this end of town.
kidding.
Yeah. So they're kind of figuring out if they want to, try and shut down, multiple blocks or certain blocks or on certain days. And there's a lot of exciting discussion around that to try and revitalize the local businesses and create, that walkable, wonderful area. I mean, it's already a pretty great neighborhood, but it'd be
I
exciting.
know.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind
So
of like what they did at Third Street Promenade. They closed it from like Colorado to, Wilshire,
exactly.
and that section of Third Street is closed. And I know sometimes businesses have aversion to change, right? And oh, if we don't have the drivability, then we won't have visibility, then we won't have customers. Well, the other side of the coin is to do something dramatic and to do something that majority of people are going to enjoy, and especially if you're a tourist and
Yeah.
you don't have a car and the future is to get out of the cars and to have walkability and the scooters and the bicycles and all of that. So
All of
if
it.
that's what
Yeah.
was created, and it has the median there with the benches, kind of like Third Street Promenade with
Yeah.
the foliage art that they do with their little dinosaur waterfall thing, water features.
Yeah.
It would be
Exactly.
it would be lovely. It would be lovely, and
Yeah.
people are going to walk, and you get more if you provide walkabilities for sure. Oh, what
I
a great
think so. I
idea.
think it'd be very exciting to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, will you tell those Ocean Park Association and the Santa Monica Commissioner to please let us like play beach volleyball again? Can they please open up the beach? Seriously,
I
the
can't
cases have
believe
come
it's not
down.
yet.
It's been, I mean, seriously, people are bringing their own nets and they're playing anyway. Can we at least just
I
have
know.
the poles? They
It's
can
nuts.
they can even, yeah, they don't have to even put the nets back up. Just let us have the poles again, and that would even just make it easier.
This
And we'll bring our
past
own nets.
Sunday, we were driving down PCH and Steve said, "Why is the sand all mounded up like that?" I said, "Oh, you don't want to know." I said, "Jay's so mad." They're trying to, but it's crazy because they've opened up golf courses and basketball courts and
And
everybody's at the beach. I
tennis.
mean, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
No,
know.
I'm with you. I'm with you. It's nuts.
Well, I know that my crew of folks were just like, it's just so much more work to get out there and bring our own gear and lug the poles and everything else. And
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
and we've been being very safe and sanitary, and wearing the mask and hand sanitation in between sets and everything
Yeah.
else. But it sure would be
Being
nice
smart.
if they would open it. So, well, I
I
can't wait
agree.
to talk about this today. I know it's not something most people want to talk about, but but this is one of the steps towards getting towards home ownership, and helping people understand, that there is a preparation process. And I also
Yeah.
love introducing other wonderful women from our powerful circle of women. And I know
Yeah.
Karla is someone who has been in both of our lives for the last few years, and we're going to bring her into the show so we can introduce her to our audience. Good morning, Karla. There she
Good morning,
is.
Jay. Hi, Kate. Nice to see you, lady.
Hello.
We're just talking
Hello.
about the power posse women, and the fact that we really support each other and want to make sure that people get to know that there's such a wide range of help that's available for them out there. And, we all think a little bit differently, but one thing we are all very studious about is our profession, and to make sure that we know inside and out the rules that we need to live by in order to provide the client with the very best experience, as well as great level of help. So, Karla, tell us a little bit about, how you got into accounting and how you got to Gumbiner. You've been there a while. Such exciting stories there.
Yes. Okay, well, thank you for having me, first of all. I got into accounting basically by listening to my mother, to be, believe it or not. I was raised in Mexico, and I came from immigrant parents who wanted a better life for their 4 daughters. So my family moved to the US when I was in middle school, and college for me was not in my plans. Right after high school, I wanted to be a flight attendant and travel all around the world and have fun and enjoy life. But my mother, she used to be a housekeeper, and she had one of her clients was a college professor. And she guided my mother. She told her, like, her daughters how to go to college to pursue their degree. She convinced me. She convinced me. I ended up going to UCLA. I did undecided, didn't know what I wanted to study, but I knew I was good with math and with numbers. So I tried some accounting courses and I enjoyed it. Then I took an internship program at Gumbiner Sabet, the firm that I'm currently at, and never
Wow.
left. And here we are.
Wow, what a great story. I mean, kudos to your mom. I mean,
Right?
that is, yeah, talk about changing the pathway. But it's amazing how that one influence, and it's always about the power of proximity. She was in the proximity of this professor who
Right.
influenced her to think differently from what she grew up around. And then she then was able to carry that on to you. That's amazing. And that's the
Yes.
power of the immigrant story, though, and how that people can help each other and pull each other up to have a
Right.
different future. You know.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, they came to this country with nothing in their hands, with their 4 daughters. And now all 4 of us are educated. We have our profession, and I think they're proud of us. Yeah.
wow,
I
that's
can imagine
amazing.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And how
I
wonderful
know.
to
I
find
know.
the internship at the company that you're with now and have been with.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yes, I have been with Gumbiner. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Gumbiner. Gumbiner Savet is a CPA firm. We are in Santa Monica, and we are a full service firm. So we specialize in tax compliance. We do estate and trust and audits. We have business services, business management, and we also do some tax litigation support. But yeah, at Gumbiner, in the tax department. So I do a lot of, I work with a lot of high net worth individuals, and I do some estate and trust. Yes, I've been with the firm for 20 plus years. I never left.
Wow.
And just a couple of years ago, I got promoted to shareholder. I became a shareholder.
Woo!
I know.
Go girl.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
That's
Yes,
so amazing. And I remember when I met you, and it was actually at one of those women power events,
right,
and
right.
immediately it was you and the other partner that's also the other female
Female, right?
partner at
Hmm.
Gunbinder Civet, and you guys were
Yes,
there. And I remember thinking, wow, these women are awesome. And I immediately was like, okay, I need to figure out how to get you guys more connected to the other business women that I know, and I love
hmm.
connecting women together. And so, and you've stayed in my life. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
guys,
have
and
for
you
the
got to
last two
meet
years.
Kate, yeah, and Kate and all the wonderful people that are in our sphere of influence. And you've been such a wonderful, wonderful part of the organization of just networking and
Right,
sharing your knowledge with others and having resources to connect to,
right,
not only for us to be able to connect and get to know you over the years, but also for you to connect and refer out to other resources, whether it's attorneys or service
right.
providers, et cetera. And I think having that sphere of influence and really getting to know, like, and trust people over time, it
Mhm.
becomes even deeper than just a professional group. It really is a family kind of a feeling,
Yes, I agree. I agree. Yes, meeting you, Jay, and yes, have been part of this networking group, and like you said, yes, knowing more different female professions and financial advisors, and yes, being on knowledge, doing more business development, it has really helped me out in my career.
And
It's
it's
so
not
much
just
easier to
work, right?
do when you know someone and love and trust that they'll do a good job and take care of the people that you are trying to take care of. And having that cross pollination is just, it's everything to know that,
Right.
if somebody is like, hey, I need help, I can say, ooh, call Karla, and not worry a second that you wouldn't take care of them. And
Right.
that's everything. I mean, and that, not only reflects on you, but on my, recommendation to say to a client, hey, I got somebody you can trust.
Right.
That's gold. That's
And
everything.
have accountability, right? Knowing that because we all know each other, and because you definitely don't want to mess up for someone, because the accountability is you're going to see them again next week.
Right.
You're going to see them over and over again. And the
Mhm.
last thing you want to do, and any one of us ever want to do, is let down those that we care about,
Mhm.
and we refer to the people we care about, because that is our reputation, and our accountability, and doing what we say we're going to do is everything. And that's the difference of being a one-off vendor versus being really connected in a group of other people that
Mhm.
count on you to do your very best for the people that they care about. So I know that in a time that's busy like this too, and we always say, and you're right about to hit tax season. So I know this is like the very last precipice before boom, it's going to go haywire, because you also are doing all of this, and you're a mother, right? You have children as well.
Yes, yes, I have two children, and yes, getting used to the new normal in terms of like the pandemic and now working remotely and having two kids at the house doing the online learning. It's been quite challenging in a way, but at the same time, it's been a year. So we're just getting better. We're learning to service our clients better being remotely. And yeah, we're just getting there.
Has a lot shifted in terms of how you guys help clients because of the pandemic?
It shifted in the way that we're getting more technology savvy. We're getting and also teaching our clients. I work with a lot of elderly taxpayers, so for me it was quite challenging teaching them. Like now, you cannot just walk into the office. We have to do video chats, or you have to email me your tax information. So it's been quite a challenge, but little by little we're getting better. I feel that the accounting field is moving towards that way, working more from home, and so we're investing in more technology. We're still hiring people, and we'll see what's going to be the new normal after the pandemic.
Well, I think the good thing is more and more elderly folks hopefully are getting vaccines
Right.
and getting vaccinated, which will start
Hmm.
shifting, obviously, the accessibility. I know I spoke with Sean, and he said it was Jordan, his second oldest son's 21st birthday this weekend, and he said his his grandparents finally got to give Jordan a hug for the first time in a
Oh,
year.
yeah,
Oh,
First 25. I was like, I
amazing.
almost melted when I heard that because
yeah,
Fred and
Oof.
Rosemary are quite amazing. But I know that Fred's, over 80, and seeing him the last couple months walking the neighborhood, it's a different cadence. And so,
mhm,
it was great to watch, that and witness the fact that is happening now, and that people can
yeah,
hug their grandkids again and get into, physical environment. But I think that is something that has helped a lot of folks if it forces them to learn something new, and technology is a friend, not a foe, in
right.
creating connectivity as well as being able to be a little bit more organized and efficient
Mhm,
in preparation. And digital files actually just take up less space than the clutter of
that's
paper
true.
anyway, right?
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
But old dog, new tricks, right? I mean, it is tougher as we transition in life to,
Mhm,
okay, figure out what is this whole Zoom thing, and what are all the buttons,
right.
how do I unmute, how do I video?
Mhm.
They
How do I share
unmute.
my screen? Yep.
We actually, ironically, my tax appointment with our CPA is today, immediately after our chat today. And I am so thankful that we are on lockdown because he has moved even deeper into the valley. So we don't have to drive today. We're just going to
Right.
Zoom, and we sent out, like you said, we uploaded all our files. We've got everything ready to go. We're going to have a Zoom chat. I'm so
Mhm.
thrilled. I don't have to get in the car and drive deep valley today.
That's
But I'm
true.
excited to get it done. And I think taxes are one of those things that everybody builds up as this, oh God, I got to do my taxes. It's such a dreadful process. But at our house, it really has been refreshing for me because it is a point every, at the time we do our taxes, it's a real check-in for my husband and I to be like, where are we? Where are we going? What does our financial situation look like? What are our future plans? And I think having a CPA that you can trust to kind of look at all of that with you and understand not just the numbers on the page, but who you are as a family and what your goals are is just, that's so invaluable. And I know from speaking with you, Karla, that that's something that you absolutely do, and kind of take the time to, help your clients in that comprehensive way, not just like a one-off tax shop or some online thing where you're just plugging in numbers. Having that personal touch, I think, makes all the difference in the world, for me anyways.
No, it's
Yeah.
true. I mean, I sometimes I just recommend clients not to just contact your clients when it's tax. I mean, not to contact their CPA when it's tax season. You need to meet with them at least twice a year in December. Let's do some year-end planning. It's very important because sometimes, say you sell your home, you can have all this rent, all this capital gain, but what can we do to diminish that tax? What there might be some potential losses out there, capital losses that you can use to offset that gain. So it's always very useful to don't think about the fee. Sometimes a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna charge me this much," but talk to your accountant and they'll help you. They're here to help you and to reduce your tax liability.
Well, sometimes what you don't know could cost you far greater than a fee, though, because that's the
Exactly.
difference between having a professional. It's kind of like, don't you go to a doctor when you don't know what's wrong with you? It's kind of the same thing. You're not going to do surgery on yourself. And same thing with the tax code. Are you kidding me? Talk about one of the most complex documents to kind of read through are all the changing laws. And with the new administration, and
Mhm.
probably with the Biden administration, who knows what changes? I don't know if you've heard some inklings about changes that are
Yeah.
coming, and then Prop 19 having passed in California last year, and that's going to provide. And you guys, fortunately, are a full service firm. So I know you guys have an estate division, you guys have the forensic accounting division, you've got all these different specialties that gun binder
Mhm.
Savette covers. So at least you have like, hey, to a colleague, what do you think about this? Or what do you think
Right.
about that? Or what are you hearing? I'm sure there's so much collegiality to be able to rely upon
Mhm.
as things are constantly shifting. One thing we know in our business as well as yours, documents are changing constantly, all the time, and we have to
Right.
be compliant and on top of those changes. So have you heard of any maybe drastic changes that they're thinking of doing, or are
Mhm.
we going to have to look out for in 2021?
So, based on what I've been reading with the new Biden administrations, I do feel there's going to be changes, up to what extent, who knows. But I mean, for those taxpayers, they want to increase the corporate tax rate from 21% to 28%. For individuals, they want to go up from the highest tax bracket to be from 37% to 39.6%. So it seems, I mean, there's so many talks about eliminating the step up in basis. That I think that's a big one for a lot of our clients. When somebody passes, when somebody dies, their beneficiaries, you typically get a step up in basis to the value of the date of death, and they're thinking of eliminating that too. So,
Oh boy.
I know. If what is gonna pass, who knows? But now is the time to talk to your tax professionals and see what ideas there might be to plan ahead.
No kidding. Holy smokes. Yeah, the step up. Well, it's the same adjustment though, when they got rid of and capped us on our property tax deduction to be at 10,000 and
Right.
reduced it down to 750,000 on the mortgage interest deduction. I mean, it sucks to lose that 250,000 in the mortgage interest deduction. It didn't really, even though the fear was it's really gonna, change buyers' patterns or what their goals were in home ownership. Well, obviously we know this year that change did not affect the amount of buyers entering into the home purchasing market, right, Kate? It's been
Not at all.
bananas, like
How
bananas
was
with a
it for you
capital B.
ladies? I know. How
Busy.
was it? Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
busy. But I think that raises another good point in that I know I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. So a lot of my conversations are kind of helping them to understand the full process. And part of that is very much like, how are you claiming on your taxes? What are you doing? What does that write-off look like? What are the tax laws around your purchasing power and all of these things? And, I'm not a CPA, so I have a very, hands-off kind of conversation about it, and definitely refer them to CPAs and their financial advisors to understand that better. But I don't think most buyers think about that. I think most buyers are like, they're watching HGTV House Hunters, and that's how they think it works. So, there's a whole lot more to consider when you are buying a home. And especially if you're a first-time home buyer, that learning curve can be really great. And one of the conversations I have is that preparing ahead of time to make that home purchase is so essential. Like, you can't go out on a Sunday and say, oh, I found a house, I want to buy it. You got to get ready. You got to make sure your finances, your taxes, everything's in order. And so when you were speaking about talking to your CPA more than just at tax time, 100% agree. I mean, make the banner. That is a huge message. I think people need to hear that is something you need to be thinking about if you want to buy a home, if you want to sell your home. These are important. You got to bring in the team. It's a team effort, and you really have to plan and prepare and think about all those different aspects that will affect you in the process.
You know what's funny? I say it almost every show, the 6 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. And it's kind of like, I've said it almost every show because it relates to almost every topic and in every scenario. But if you want to be an adult and you want to be responsible for your finances and for having the opportunities that life has to offer, the prior planning really does provide, and I love alliterations, as you guys know, but it does provide the opportunities to be able to not have the stress, know what you're capable of, and to be able to take action. But without planning in advance, without talking with professionals, and I know in you guys' world there's fee-based, but there are plenty of opportunities to have that one-off conversation with professionals in the field. And even with the fee involved, it's so worth to sit down and have a conversation about what the possibilities are. For certain, instead of being the ostrich in the head in the sand, I'm just going to be in denial and I'm going to keep wishing, but I'm never going to take action. And then a decade goes by and people are like, God, why didn't I do something 10 years ago? And I think it's scary for people to have that first conversation. I think it's scary for people to take that first step. And our whole goal is by providing resources that are not intimidating, that are knowledgeable, that are accessible, that the conversation, that first piece of it is hopefully less intimidating for people so that they'll just at least go in the water and see how the temperature is. It's not that
Yeah.
hard to do that, right? So
Yeah, you're right. You know, I had a situation. She was an independent, self-employed independent contractor.
Ooh.
She was buying her first home, buying her first home, and she was ready to apply for a loan. And she comes to me, she's like, "Oh, Carla, I need to apply for a loan. I haven't filed my taxes in the last 2 years. I
Oh
need to get it
no.
done in a week." I'm like, "Sure, I can help you. Give me your books and
No,
records."
you did
She
not.
comes in with a box of receipts for the last
Nuh-uh.
2 years. I am
You're
not kidding.
kidding.
Box of receipts for the last 2 years and 2 years of monthly bank statements. It's like, here it is. I'm like, oh my God. So we just wasted so much time, so much money, reconciling her books. She was commingling her personal and business expenses. It was just a mess. At
You
the end of the
unraveled that
day,
mess? You were able to unravel that
at
mess?
the end of the day, it cost her a lot more. At the end of the day, we were able to get it done. She qualified for the
No,
loan, but it was just such a
no.
hassle, if she
And
would
the
have just,
penalties though, right? I mean,
right,
IRS has some
penalties.
pretty intense penalties.
Yeah, especially if you're thinking of buying a house, you need to show income, you need to show the bank that you'll be able to pay off the loan. So, there's always, if you keep your books and records straight, I mean, you know what you're looking at and see how you can improve your income. I mean, there's ways to, you can probably, if you're thinking of buying a home in the future, you might have to accelerate some of your income. Talk to your clients and maybe some prepayment of services, or sometimes there's ways that you can defer some expenses that if you currently don't need them. So, you know, sometimes you think, oh, I can deal with that later, but if you hire a bookkeeper, just if she comes to your house, to your business quarterly or every 6 months, it'll help you,
Right?
if you think you're too small to hire a bookkeeper, just yourself prepare an Excel schedule once a month. Just keep track of your income and business expenses, and just to have an idea how you're doing, how
Right.
you're doing with your finances, like Jay says.
Such an
Right.
important point. It's so
Yes.
important. And I know so many people in Los Angeles specifically who are independent contractors who do
Right.
have their own businesses, but don't run them like a business. And I think
Right,
there's
exactly.
there's some sort of gap in understanding that if you're going to go into business for yourself, you've really got to go into the business. You have to do the
Right.
bookkeeping, you have to prepare. And especially like you said, when preparing for a house, the way you do your taxes 2 years prior to wanting to buy that house has to be different. I mean, for myself, I was an actor for years, and basically the advice I got was write everything off you can, show no income, pay no taxes because you're poor as an actor, or at least I
Right.
was.
Yeah.
But that's not great advice if I want to buy a house. So
Right.
I think,
That's true.
like we said, having those discussions and having someone who understands your goals can help you get there and say, hey, hire the quarterly bookkeeper. It's going to be worth it in the long run because you won't be paying these fees and you won't be showing up to my office with a box full of receipts.
That's right. Absolutely.
Gosh.
I can't believe you were able to pull that off, Carla. That's insane. That's one of the most insane stories of a home purchase kind of frenetic thing that I've heard in a long time, because obviously since 2008 and the financial implosion that the world actually experienced, the laws around qualifying obviously are significantly different than it was
Right.
in the late 90s and early 2000s, when those no income loans were prevalent everywhere. And even, like the waiter and the massage therapist were getting no money down financing. Well, obviously ever since the whole economy tanked based on loans like that. And now, of course, people who may not have understood in the last, 13 years that that you have to show 2 years of income. You've got to
Right.
show your monthly payment is in line with what you calculate on your taxes. Doesn't matter what
Right.
your gross is. It's about the net. So little things like that I still think the average citizen may not be aware of still. And so I think that obviously being the professionals is a crucial part to help people, because I
Right.
know for Kate and I and at our firm, it's all about how can we just give you a little bit of knowledge,
Mhm.
and just help you towards it. And it's teeny steps, doesn't have to be big steps, but how can we at least just leave you better than the way we found you? How can we leave you with a little bit more knowledge than you may not have known? And we are wealth of knowledge. Like I know you are, Karla, always willing to help, answer questions. You're there for people and you're very approachable. That's what I love about you, is that you're so approachable, you're personable. Not saying something about your profession, but not always. Not
Yeah, I know.
everybody's that approachable or
Right.
personable.
Thank you.
It
Yeah.
doesn't always attracts that.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, we called them the bean counters or whatever, but you know.
Yeah.
But talking with you is very easy, and that you do have a wealth of knowledge and information. Are you also bilingual as well, right? And
I
so,
am. I am. And you know what? And that has really helped me, especially here in the West Side. Yes, being able to help also the Hispanic community has
mhm,
it's such a it's an honor, to also help my people and assist them, because sometimes I just got a new client that literally her husband passed away. He took care of all the expenses, all the of everything. They had like 50 rental properties. So now here she is. She doesn't speak English. Here she
mm,
comes to me, and that's the first thing she was looking for. I need someone that can explain to me everything that's going on, especially with taxes. And
Wow.
yeah, I was just glad I'm here to able to help her.
wow. And
Yes.
That's
that is
amazing.
something, yeah, I think that's the thing. And there's a statistic about the fact that how many widows end up not knowing anything that their
Not
husband was
knowing anything.
doing financially, and then all of a sudden they pass away. And especially with COVID, there's been so many unexpected deaths. And then
Right.
people are showing up saying, I didn't know what was happening, and no, we didn't talk about it. And it's just like, oh, a little bit of preventative measures could have saved obviously a lot of
Right.
probate and trustee. And we're actually dealing with some probate cases right now, um, that it could have saved so much in taxation, in the
Mm-hmm.
pain and the agony and the wastefulness. That's the other
Right.
thing about not preparing or just not knowing how to prepare. I'm an efficiency, like junkie, and the wastefulness that I see because people didn't take just a day or a couple of hours to sit and truly try to understand how they can prepare for the one-offs, the what ifs. And it's so
Right.
sad. It's so sad. But
Right.
that's amazing that, there aren't the bilingual, I think helps significantly, because I know my brother-in-law is a doctor and my husband's older brother, and
Mm-hmm.
he's bilingual, and being Colombian, they speak Spanish, and his patients are so grateful to have such
Yeah.
a kind bedside manner doctor that also can explain to them in Spanish like what is ailing them or what they're going through, and the fear, and the what is the word I'm trying to think of, like the intimidation is kind of lessened, because like, oh, okay,
Right.
here's somebody I can talk to in a language that makes more sense to me to
Mm-hmm.
explain very complex scenarios and make it manageable,
Right.
so that's amazing. Your firm is so lucky to have you.
Yeah,
Oh.
for sure.
Thank
And
you.
I think being a
Especially,
woman too, I
yes.
know like I have girlfriends who very specifically do not want to work with male CPAs because they've had bad experiences in the past where they felt talked down to, or like they weren't in a position of being respected, just because of that dynamic. And so knowing that you are bilingual and you're a woman, and I think there's just a comfort level there for some people that, hey, that's the thing that I feel comfortable, how I want to move forward. I was on a financial Zoom yesterday talking about financial industries, and the presenter brought up a really good point and showed some brainwave activity graphs that they had done a study that your brain lights up when you're talking about love and relationship in certain sectors of your brain it's the exact same sectors that light up when you're talking about your finances, because it's that ingrained emotionally. And I think a lot of times people have fear around money or have baggage around money and don't want to deal with it. Like Jay was saying, they do the ostrich move. But when you find someone that you can connect with and you feel like they have your best interests, you're so much more comfortable. And those, hopefully then your brain lights up in the positive ways instead of, you know, the trauma and negative ways around finances. And I know for our business, home buying is a huge emotional deal, and there's a lot around that. And I think it's the same in your business. And I'm curious if you experience that with your clients, that like emotional level, because I know I do when I'm talking to first time home buyers. It's very emotional, which I get. It's a big deal.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You just have to feel that confidence in the profession you're working with, and that's what I try to do. You know, I try to make my clients feel comfortable. You know, we're here to try to help you with your taxes. We're here to try to help you improve your finances. You know, and yeah, it can be changed, but you're right. I mean, the Gun Binder has been in business for over 70 years, and I'm only the 5th shareholder female in accounting. Yes. So
in the first, probably first Latino, right?
And I am the first Latina.
Hey.
Yes, I know.
Wow.
I know, you know, and it's an honor, you know, it's an honor that my fellow shareholders saw my what I have to give to the firm, you know, and but you know, my goal now that I'm a shareholder, I'm mentoring other female accountants, you know, to move ahead, like to do things. We need to change this percentage of like male accountants, you know, we're powerful and we can do things sometimes even better than them. So
girls are great at math, and I agree with you, Karla. I so encourage, especially, you know, like my niece and other young students that she is around, and I say girls are great at math. Don't let anybody tell you different. I love math. You know, for my major was chemical engineering. You know, my math and chemistry and physics was like my jam. I loved it. And my sisters, I think just math was our thing. But we were encouraged from a very early stage by our teachers that, you know, we're good at math. So we keep telling ourselves in our head, we're good at math. And the more I think we tell young girls that their brains are wired for math. They can do math. It's the future of shifting that paradigm in a very male dominated profession that, hey, you can do it, I can do it better, you know, so.
And it's so important to be able to see women in positions like you, Karla, to be able to see, hey, that lady is like me and I can do that too. I think that's huge. I mean, for example, like with Kamala being vice president, I mean, that has opened up a whole world of people seeing themselves in a position they've never seen before. And I mean, that's amazing. A lady vice president? Heck yeah. I mean, it's
but I love that NASA story, you know, where there was all the African-American women that were behind the computations, you know, of getting the men to Mars. And that fact that historically that existed, but did we grow up knowing that that was the case? No. And the fact that the girls now can see, wow, she did that. That's awesome. I know I'm smart and I'm a high level genius too. And I'm going to continue that versus having somebody squelch their natural gift. Let's expand and explore it. And the fact that, you know, here the three of us, you know, women forging the path to let other women know there's we can't accomplish. It's just our mind that gets in the way sometimes, you know. And I love your story, Karla. I love how you got there. We love the fact that, you know, you're part of our lives, and we know that it's never a matter of if, it's when. We have people that need your help, and I love having the expansion of the various resources and the fact that, you know, there's so many different ways that you can help people. So thank you for joining us on our show today, Karla. I mean, it's a gift that you've given to spend your time with us and to let people know who you are. And I've known Gun Binder for a long time, well before I got to meet you. And so it's wonderful that you're part got to know that you were there this whole time. I didn't know it. So-
I know. I really appreciate it, ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
Well,
So great. Thank
have
you,
a
Karla.
safe and hopefully not too taxing tax
Oh my
season.
God. Yeah, it's
Good luck.
starting. It's
I know you're
starting.
gonna roll up your sleeves and get ready for work. So thank
Sure
you for
am.
your time, Karla.
Okay, ladies, have a good day.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, amazing.
so great.
I didn't know some of the backstory too, which is even
I
makes
mean,
me even that much prouder. You
that's
know?
it. I mean, and I think that's such a good point too, because you don't know someone's backstory. You don't know how they got to where they are. You just see this amazing woman who's a partner or first Hispanic partner at this like legendary company that's been around for 70 years, who's mentoring and who we know is just this like powerful, wonderful like resource for us. And then you hear about these
Sometimes.
backstories and you just think, my gosh, you never really know what someone's done to get from A to B. And it's just so
No.
much more interesting when you find out, and so much more, you just feel so excited and proud of what they've accomplished. It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, when I think about, when she said, her mom was a housekeeper, and that is just manual back-breaking labor. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
hard. And the fact that her and her sisters had from the efforts of their mom, like the life that they have. I mean, changing and breaking that cycle, it's amazing. But I can relate to it because my parents, moved here and worked at 7-Eleven for $2.25 an hour until they saved up enough money to buy their own store, and then, they're on, et cetera. And so, but it's putting in, 18-hour days and working nonstop to put food on the table and save and scrimp every little penny to make a
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So
And it's so funny how only by looking back on those stories do you really understand it. When we were growing up, my dad was a lobster fisherman and my mom worked at the phone company. And so mom worked nights because dad had to work during the daylight, right? And, it never occurred to me that we, were less than, we weren't rich. Like we had such a great life. And you look back and you think, my God, they work so hard. And you don't have appreciation of that until you're on the other side of it and are able to look back and be like, wow, they really put the hours in and did it with 2 kids and struggled, but we had no concept of that because we had such a wonderful, loving family. So it's always interesting to kind of look back and say, hey, I've come this far, and what I've accomplished because of what my parents provided and the work ethic that they instill in you, and that kind of stuff goes, I think, unnoticed when you're a kid. Obviously you're kind of self-absorbed, but then you
the
look back and
frontal
think,
lobe is still
wow,
developing,
yeah, exactly. So it's so nice to reflect on that kind of thing and really give thanks for all of the stuff that you did struggle through and you did learn from your parents and you did have in your environment that made you who you are and where you are. It's always, I
Well,
love learning those stories.
well, being home so much with my kids too, and they're seeing I'm in and out, in and out, in and out, and I'm literally on the computer from 6 in the morning until 10:30 at night lately because the business has been just that intense. And they're hearing the stories, they're hearing us on the phone, and they're getting a little bit more like aware, right, of all the
Mhm.
dynamics of things that are going on. And especially Jake, he and I have had some really nice, heartfelt conversations. And I said, look, I do this. And I told him, thank you so much for your patience because I haven't been around much, because
Mhm.
I've been out a lot. And I said, thank you for your patience because I do this so that you guys can have a better life than the way I grew up. And he's like, I
Yeah.
know that, Mom. And he's like, I know how hard your
Aw.
life was. And so anyway, I'm getting all sappy now, but
Aw.
he totally he totally understood, and he's like, I understand, Mom, and I appreciate what you're doing, and I know that we have a great life because you and Dad worked so hard. And
Aw.
it's like carrying that forward, but also breaking
Yeah.
the pattern that they don't have to struggle, right? Because
Yeah.
my parents worked a lot, but we had to struggle. I mean, it
Mhm.
it was tough. Childhood was not easy. And
Yeah.
so to see that for them, we've changed it, it really, I know it makes me proud. And I know
Sure.
that, we've gotten here, thank God. I mean, you've been on a wonderful journey too, Kate. And I'm just so proud of, you know, how far you've come in the years that you've been with us as well. And gosh, we have some exciting things ahead for 2021 and beyond. And so I just know that what we've built and where we're headed and the level of craziness that it's been since I would say May of 2020
Yeah.
is bananas. I
Yeah.
mean, it really is. We're like sheer holding on and just trying to ride this wave and help people in their highest needs as greatly as possible. But my kids have I sat them both down and like I just both thank them for their patience. I thank my husband because he's
Yeah.
had to carry the brunt of being the parent while I have been just running 110 miles an hour to keep up with the pace. Because I don't want anybody who's been referred to us or who counts on us to help them ever feel we don't have time to help them. You know, I had
No,
this
and
one
I
where
think,
she's
yeah,
like,
you
yeah,
you do that. You definitely do
yeah,
that. And I think it's also a silver lining of this, crazy year that we have been living in, that there are those opportunities to connect and say, hey, this is why I do what I do, or hey, this is why we're struggling through this thing together, and have those moments of check-in and what it's about. And because like Karla was saying, like everybody has to kind of reassess where they are and how their household works and what they're doing. And she's going into her busiest season of the year with 2 kids at home online doing their school. I mean, all of this comes together. And even with Steve and I mean, it's pretty, we worked it out pretty well. He's mostly upstairs and I'm downstairs, and that works, but we both are working from home. So, we're also kind of going through like, how does this work? What does this mean? Who's going to cook? Like, and trying to make sure that we're not, stepping on toes, or making sure we both have space to do our work and provide for our clients. Because like you were saying, this year has been wild. I think so many people have reassessed what's important and what they need and what they want and what that means in terms of home. And really, I know that, working at Heyler is a special place because we do focus on the people, not the transactions. And that to me that's everything, because it is a people business. We are helping people with a very important part of their life, and making sure that they are informed and feel comfortable and well taken care of. And that's everything.
Yeah, and that's the passion, behind wanting to make it amazing for them. And even the buyer last night, I took a talk with her and she says, wow, I'm realizing now like how much you've had going on and you still always make time for us. And I said, well, that's the thing. I want you to feel like you're the most, and you are the most important person I'm helping to you in your moment. And then times that times 21.
Exactly. It's always funny when clients come to the realization of all that we know we are doing for them. One of my clients at some point I'm selling a condo in Brentwood, he said, I have a question. And I said, okay. He said, what happens if it doesn't sell? You don't get paid. I said, yeah, that's the job. And he said, but you're doing all this work. I said, I know, because I told you I would help you sell your house. Like, that's how this works. So it was just that connection of like, wait a minute. He didn't really like think through the process. And I said, that's my job. My job is to help you sell your home, and I will do the work that takes. And if it doesn't work, then I don't get paid because I didn't do the job. So, and he throughout the process has been like, wait, so you're talking to those people? He just is learning all of the things we do that, we don't necessarily say, hey, I'm doing X, Y, and Z all day for you, but we're doing it because that's part of the job and part of taking care of our clients in the way they should be cared for, and making sure that everything is, crossed off and T's are crossed and I's are dotted and the whole thing. It's important.
Right. Well, that's the thing when we do an initial consultation, they're like, so how do you get paid? And I was like, well, we work on a contingent basis. We don't get paid if you don't get what you need and your goals are met. If your goals are not met, guess what? We get paid zero. But we spend countless hours. I actually sometimes think I can get paid more working at Starbucks than the amount of hours I put in.
I know, and a more regular schedule too.
Yes, exactly. I could actually clock in and clock out instead of, the never ending. But it's a labor of love, right? I mean, it really is one of those, like, I love answering questions. I love being a part of the process. I love fulfilling the finale, right? The final part, That's like the best part.
It's
And
so
you
fun.
are so creative with your closing baskets. I mean, and
Oh, I
I
love
don't know
that
how we
part.
can market that, but you're just so thoughtful in how you
Well,
put all that together. I'm a little more analytic than you, so it's kind of like for me, it really pushes me to try to make it as creative, but you've set such a shining example of some of the creative ways that you've
Thank you.
expressed the celebration. So I love that part.
That's the fun part. That's the fun part. I love it too, because as you are helping people to move to a new neighborhood, sometimes like my clients are moving to neighborhoods that I didn't necessarily know before, but it's such a great opportunity to get to know all of these places in LA. And my most recent sale was in the Marina, and that's an area I know very well. So I was so excited to be, get them a gift certificate to my favorite bookstore, and you're gonna love this garden center, and share all of those things that really make a place home. Because when they're moving from Texas, they don't know what restaurant's going to be a good one, or what garden center is going to be helpful for them, and I do. So it's always nice to share that, since I moved here and had to find all those things for myself, to be able to share like a little insider information about a neighborhood. And especially working on the west side, where you live and work, like that knowledge, I think for people, it makes your house feel more like home. And it makes, especially when you're moving from a far place, like to have a neighborhood spot that you can recommend that makes it feel so much better.
Well, they
So
came
much
from
fun.
out of state, but they sure got a piece of Hollywood immediately, right? Because that
I
was a pretty
know.
celebrity, it was a celebrity purchase, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was so funny because the seller wanted to stay anonymous, and a different agent, we had toured a number of homes, called and told me whose house it was. And I said, oh, well, I'm supposed to keep this quiet. But then of course the LA Times went ahead and wrote an article that they had purchased Rosario Dawson's home in Marina. So that was
And people were
kind
like,
of exciting.
it's like the
Sean
one
was
off
so
the one
mad. He said,
degree.
oh, I want to meet her. I know. It's wild. It's so funny. But that happens out here. That's the other funny thing. We come across, you're selling a property, and all of a sudden a celebrity's showing up, and you're like, well, oh, right, I'm in Los Angeles. They live here too. Stars, they're just like us.
But that's the thing, both of us are transplants from the East Coast, and so
Mhm.
living here in LA for the last 27 years, it's kind of like, oh, that's right. Oh, Heather Locklear. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's always like, oh, that's right. There. Oh, and you know what's funny is that Jake was coming back from basketball practice, and in the car next to them was somebody just kind of, and it's James Cordon, and Jake like rolled down his window, was like, hey dude, and he rolled down his window, was like, how you doing? Because Jake was like trying to take a
Oh,
picture, and he was so nice to him,
that's
and he was just
awesome.
sitting there like karaokeing in his own
Karaoke.
little car, just kind of like the show, right?
That's
And Jake was like,
amazing.
oh my, I was like, Jake, I didn't even know like you paid attention. It's like, well, he's kind of famous. I kind of knew
It's
that he
true.
was, who he was. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that you
Oh,
paid
how
that much
funny.
attention looking out your window. But
It's so funny. Yeah, it just happens here. I am terrible at recognizing celebrities. I mean, not that I'm going anywhere these days, but in the past, I would always just think I knew them. Like, oh, did I go to high school with that person? And be like, oh no, that's Michelle Pfeiffer. You didn't go to high school with her. Like,
no, that
no,
was
that's
Kiefer
not.
Sutherland in the SUV, and everybody's like trying to figure out who's driving in that car,
Uh-huh.
So
My sister, when she visits, she's very good. She's like an eagle eye. She knows everybody. She'll be like, oh, look, there's that person. There's that person. I'm like, what? Where? I
and we're
missed
always like, and
it.
please leave them alone. Please leave them
Exactly.
alone.
Exactly. Be cool.
Except I wish 2 years ago I was at a Dodger game and Tommy Lasorda was literally like 5 feet away. And I told Larry, he's like, I want the boys to take a picture with Tommy Lasorda. He's like, don't bother him. Don't bother him. It's like, this is what we're in the Dodger game. We're in the dugout club. Like,
Yeah.
and of course now he passed away this year. And it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, we missed our opportunity. But
I
he's
know.
very like,
What a
don't do
legend,
that.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
it's like, but I think that's when you're a public figure, I think that when there are true people fans, and not like trying to sit here and be belligerent about it, but it's just like a true honor to want to get a portion of history, really, and to
Exactly.
have that moment in time captured and saying, hey, admire you, respect you,
Yeah,
appreciate what you've done for a legendary organization,
for sure.
can we please click a photo photo with the boys. It wasn't even like me wanting to be in the picture, but
Right.
I wanted it for the kids. But
Yeah.
anyway, it is kind of funny that being in this town and all the glitz and glamour that does happen, even though the work is not glitzy and glamorous.
Yeah, no kidding. It can be a crime.
Sometimes it's like taking, like lately it's been, of course, sanitizing all the handles and
Yeah.
the light switches and everything. So I always have my packet of sanitation wipes and making sure everything's wiped down in between everything. And, this last is 94 showings. So 94 showings and 3 to
Wow.
5 people per showing in that. So imagine that a few hundred people in a
That's
7-day
amazing.
period came through this listing.
It's a lot of work, and to stay safe and be mindful of all of the rules and regulations around keeping people safe and making sure the house is clean and all the things. It's a lot. I have a bag in my car full of gloves, masks, sanitizers, and sprays. And we were packing our groceries from the farmer's market in, and Steve went to grab it. I said, "No, leave that in the car. I need that. I need that everywhere I go."
I know. I double mask too for the showings,
Yep.
just because I put the
Yep.
surgical one and then I just put a fabric one just to have a double layer. I don't know.
Yep.
I heard though the cases are going down. I feel
Yes.
like it's getting better. I hope the kids get to go back to school.
Yeah.
I know there's been a big challenge in so many fronts. It's a shame
Yeah.
politically that there's just such a power struggle that's making it very difficult for
But we have had, I mean,
progress.
if you think about the progress we've made in the last, 30, 40 days since January 20th, there's been a lot of forward momentum. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of plans, a lot of collaboration between the different federal departments that needs to happen. And I think in Los Angeles, I had a call yesterday. My neighborhood association does a weekly call, and we have a representative from the county, Zach, who you know.
Yeah, I love Zach. Yeah.
And he always gives us great updates. And they're going to be releasing, expanding who gets to get the vaccine on March 1st to essential workers, and then on March 15th to the people who have underlying conditions. And although they're expanding, they're not going to have the supply yet. So there'll be a bit of a lag, but he was hopeful that in April, Los Angeles County should be getting more vaccines and be able to serve more people and provide those vaccines for a greater population. So I think the progress that we've made recently is, to me, it's fortifying.
Palatable.
You think,
Yeah.
okay, so there's some grown-ups in charge and they're figuring it out now. Someone's at the helm, and we're going to be okay, I hope.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we've got to get out of this. We can't keep staying in this forever.
No.
But I know in the interim, I mean, we've definitely done the best we can,
Mhm.
and making lemonade out of the
Yeah.
lemons, and frankly, I mean, we've definitely enjoyed making an impact and helping people transition when they didn't even know how to. So I know that
Right.
being in a position to help make a difference and help people, I know at the end of the day, that's one thing. At least I feel productive. I feel like we've definitely
Exactly.
been able to, move things forward versus being at any kind of stalemate. And so in that regards, it's been very fortifying as a
Yes.
human, to know like, okay, we
Exactly.
have all this positivity and good things that are happening in
Yeah.
our lives.
Because
So
there's so much that's out of control. When you have something that you can control and that thing helps someone else, it gets you through. And I mean, it
yeah,
helps you to see a bigger picture, and it helps other people, I think, to be inspired by that action as well, to know, hey, look, they're doing a good thing. I could do a good thing too. Like, I think it kind of pays it forward in that way. And that's,
yeah.
what
Well,
we're
that's what we're trying to figure out, because I've noticed is that my kids, of course, it's so online so much. And
Yeah.
one of the things that we were thinking as our neighborhood council, and I suggested it, was to do a cleanup. Everybody
yeah.
adopt a block and go
Perfect.
out half an hour, walk your block and adopt your block. And we're now trying to come up with the details of signage, where does the trash go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because by being at home and a lot more people are walking, hey, gloves, little pickup, like one of those little
Yeah.
pickup thing that you
Claws.
use, you don't have to,
Yeah.
claws, right? And if everybody can pick a block and adopt it and then have it be an ongoing thing versus a one-day cleanup kind of a effort, and we're just trying to work out the details of that, but
That's
wanted to put
great.
that out there into, the borrow universe is think of ways, and if you have suggestions, but as a neighbor council, provide the supplies for gloves and trash bags. Where does it go? Where does can we have sanitation, trash cans at the end of every block? I mean, how can we make this productive time? Because I think if the kids can be out, it's a physically distanced activity. It's something everybody can do. It's easy to do, and with many hands make for easier work. And so if we can have hundreds of people come out and want to have the efforts to pick up trash on their streets, I just think that it can make such an impact. So my wish is to want to put that into place in the next couple of weeks, have like a spring clean kind of a theme.
Oh, nice. Yeah, perfect.
And then shop local, support your businesses today. Shop local today is, the theme, and get it out there. I think that we can, have the ripple effect of change. One piece of trash compounded by thousands of pieces of trash, I feel like it makes such a big difference, because it drives me nuts, the littering.
I know. It's crazy. It's so overwhelming. And where I am at the beach, you just think, God, it's going right into the ocean. Like, what are you thinking? But yeah, I think that's such a great idea and way to involve the community and, be with people in a safe way. That's so important. Yeah.
Big masks and gloves anyway. So I just,
exactly.
Anyway, that's a project we're working on. So hopefully to launch that. What a quick hour. Holy smokes.
I know.
Thanks, Kate, for being our guest host. You are just so awesome.
Love it. It's so good to see you virtually.
I know. Well, I just can't wait for you to come back on our show to host again.
Anytime.
I know you're awesome. Thanks. Stay safe.
Thank you.
This is our virtual hug from Dr. Carey, saying this is how we hug each other on Zoom.
That's a good way.
And
I like that.
He's an oncologist that does it with his cancer patients on Zoom. And I just thought that was just so sweet. He's like, I'm sending you hugs. And I'm like, receive.
That's a good one. That's a keeper. I like it.
Peace out, girl.
All right. Bye, Jay.
Love you. Bye.
You.